Howdy there. Welcome back and happy Skews Day to you. Today is September 21st, 2021. I'm Trey Crowder, and that, dealing with some webcam difficulties there, is Mark Agee. What's up, Mark?
What's up, Trey? It turns out when you update your Apple iOS to plug those security breaches, your webcam don't work no more.
Oh, yeah. Is Apple like, is this a poor person's camera or something when you got the update? What is this?
Yeah. Didn't recognize it. Yeah.
We can still tell you looking good over there.
Yeah, thanks, boy. The sun just coming, the low fall autumn sun coming through my window. It's 5 o'clock here on the West Coast. I want to start the show by expressing solidarity to our brothers and sisters in IATSE. That's the International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees, who are holding a strike vote coming up. And no matter how the vote goes, I hope you guys get better working conditions. If you guys don't know, IATSE has about 150,000 members, and the people you don't see on camera on stage, the Emmys in show business, the editors, scripts, operators, camera guys, hairstylists,
makeup, hair, all that.
Writers, assistants, script coordinators, and they've been fighting for living wage and to try to end shit like 20-hour work days, 6 days a week, which is hellacious. Matt says producers. Nope, sorry, buddy. You'd be in the Writers Guild with me, I think. They've already won, been offered anyway by the producers to have their pension and benefits programs made whole and shit like that, but they're still holding off for a little bit better, and we hope you guys fucking win, because it's been this actually finally get a write-up in the Hollywood Reporter, but the media doesn't, for whatever reason. I'm not going to draw motives here, but they don't really cover labor actions until you start making consumers uncomfortable. But to that point, some Nabisco employees, like 6 different plants, just won a strike after Danny DeVito got involved and became the unofficial mascot for Nabisco's strike after tweeting out "no contracts, no snacks," which caught on, and they made him, Danny DeVito, the logo they projected on the side of a Nabisco plant. It's pretty fucking cool.
When Danny DeVito says no snacks, people listen, by God.
Yeah. People stopped buying Chips Ahoy and shit, and they caved. So, yeah. There you go.
Right on. Well, fucking A. Way to go, Danny DeVito. And yeah, IATSE. Go get them. Fight the power, baby. Okay. With us as always, producer Matt. This is Weekly Skews. Want to remind y'all, if you're vaccinated and want to see me live, you can go to wellreadcomedy.com for tickets. I'll be at the Pantages in Minneapolis this Saturday and a bunch of other fun places after that. Hope to see you out there. Okay. Tonight, the infamous Texas abortion law known as SB8 is coming under legal fire for the first time in the form of 2 civil lawsuits, the details of which are suitably wild. On that note, it seems that bounty hunting your fellow Americans by suing them over political differences is becoming all the rage amongst conservatives. Yay, fascism. We'll tell you what we mean by that a little bit later. But first, as always, we will begin with the Daily Dumbass. Matt, graphic, please. Tonight's dumbass, the concept of socialism for not wearing its bullet and explosion-proof vests in the presence of Marjorie Taylor Greene. This is a campaign and fundraising ad from Large Brain Marge. It's a little longer than the clips we normally show. It's about 90 seconds, but we believe you need to see the whole thing to truly appreciate the breadth of its lunacy. So.
Joe Biden abandoned Americans in Afghanistan, got 13 of our best soldiers killed, gave a kill list of Americans to the Taliban, and armed an Islamic terrorist nation with $83 billion in weapons, like this one. Biden should be impeached. Now I'm doing a gun giveaway of my own, but for Americans only. I want you to win this .50 caliber rifle that Democrats will ban if they keep the House next year. While Joe Biden broke America's pledge to never leave a man behind, Nancy Pelosi is sneaking the Green New Deal into the $3.5 trillion budget. And in 2022, I'm going to blow away the Democrats' socialist agenda. Go to the website below and sign up to win my .50 caliber gun before Joe Biden bans
it. Well, there you go. Pretty badass.
A lot of fun stuff in there. First of all, she complains about Biden's troops killed, which if like, why didn't Biden think of getting our 13 worst troops killed? Then Marge wouldn't have given a shit, right?
Just mistake after mistake he's made.
Yeah. But also, like, I don't think she actually blew up that. First of all, like, a gunshot would not blow up a Prius.
No, it would not. I mean, when Marjorie Taylor Greene's shooting it, maybe, apparently,
Yeah.
you know, she just charges it with that lunatic energy, you know, and shots it through there. But yeah, that's we've talked before about how they've got this whole, like, they're trying to do like Marvel movie shit with their ads
Yeah.
now. Like, they're all jumping out of planes and fucking blowing shit up and all this stuff. And it's like, you're Congress people. You know, why are you shooting stuff until it explodes?
There always have walk-in talks, right? It's always like to add what you do in TV to add urgency to stuff, right? It's why the West Wing, they're always moving when they're talking. But they have some production value, so I'll salute that. But Matt found a couple funny things about this. One, she says in the ad that it's for Americans only.
Yeah,
but
pops up, no Taliban allowed. I'm sure there were, you know, some jihadists who saw that and were like, oh, darn. I guess I won't apply then.
Yeah, just they could just apply, get a free. It would be really funny because like it says America, but the boilerplate language, which has to do with the federal election law, says it's open to people that are resident aliens or legal immigrants. So I consider those people Americans. I don't think Marjorie Taylor Greene would, but if if anybody listening happens to win this gun, if you show up to pick it up dressed like Mullah Omar, that would fucking rule. And secondly, if you win the gun, she background check. So Marjorie Taylor Greene is doing gun control.
She's doing the gun control. She's giving away free guns to immigrants and also having background checks on. So she's restricting freedom, doing the gun control, and letting immigrants run wild. Marjorie Taylor Greene, what is she doing out here?
And if you're a member of IATSE, we talked about earlier, and you, for example, were hired as part of a special effects crew to blow up that Prius that she missed when she shot at it, please hit us up. We'd love to hear about that. Because there's definitely some explosives in there, I feel like. And also, it's not even clear whether, because they pulled away, I don't know if that's the same car or not.
I know. You know what I'm saying? I was wondering if it was like a miniature or something, or what exactly they blew up. There's some kind of movie magic going on there to make that congressperson explode that car with socialism painted on it with a 50 caliber bullet. Because that's a real thing that we just watched happen in the timeline in which we all live. Oh, my goodness. All right. Our first honorable mention for Daily Dumbass is Joe Biden for allowing these horrific weapons to fall into the hands of the Taliban. Matt put up the pictures there. Look at that.
Yeah.
God, is there no decency anymore? These guys taking away our troops' duck boats.
I love this. Is my favorite. I got an RPG on a duck boat.
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, obviously they're doing some recreational activities over there, and troops are pedaling around in the that beautiful pristine lake. And now the Taliban's using the duck boats for I don't know, training exercises. I can't really tell what they're up to on that, but
I think they're just chillaxing, man. Taliban's just out there, just enjoying a little fun in the sun. Nice little lake day in a duck boat. Who doesn't like a duck boat? You know.
I mean, obviously Joe Biden left them a Navy along with that Air Force we talked about a couple weeks ago. So it's just so funny to me. Like the Taliban fucking sucks. None of this should be construed the same Taliban rules or anything. But like the idea that we're supposed to be scared of them has always just been really funny to me. Something that people were circulating last week on the 9/11 anniversary, or a couple weeks ago, was do you remember that drawing that was going around of Osama bin Laden's underground lair? It was like this underground cave network that looked like a James Bond villain thing, and they expected us to believe, and a lot of us did, that these 30 guys hanging out in the woods had access to like excavation equipment and high tech. Like it was just
that they were in a volcano with shark tanks in it and all that. Freaking sharks with freaking laser beams. It was like a supervillain lair.
Yeah, it's a volcano that opens up, and he has a hovercraft comes out the top. It's like Moonraker, you know. They just want you to be afraid, man. Be very, very afraid of these fucking psychos in swan boats on the lake.
So, on that note, one thing again, Taliban sucks. We're very anti-Taliban here at Skews. We just cannot stress that enough. But some of these pictures that are coming out of them in these various situations, they always look the same. So they're always done up in full Taliban regalia and holding an assault rifle or whatever, and then they're sitting in a duck boat or they're sitting at a desk in front of a computer, because this dude has been given a bank now, but he looks like every other Taliban guy. And I just, I want a series of these pictures coming out, the Taliban, full-on Taliban doing just various I want one like clipping hedges or something like that, or maybe like working the grill or the smoker, some stuff like that.
I saw that bank guy is like the new Taliban, like head of the federal, whatever their Federal Reserve or Treasury Department is or whatever. He's got an AK. He's sitting at a computer, but he's holding his AK. And it's just like, can you imagine, like, you get into the Taliban, you just like ride around the back of trucks, shooting at shit, hanging out with your boys. And now you've got to like look at spreadsheets and like give permits. Right? It's like, oh, you're the fucking dog that caught the car, man. This is like, I didn't want to govern anything. This is boring as shit, dude. You got to run a water department. There was a news cam. This guy, I guess one of the big mansions for the ex-president that has like 30 Taliban guys just living in it. Because like, why not? They've never been to a mansion before. But they're like, the guy, one that spoke in English, was walking around showing all the paintings of horses and how cool the paintings of horses are. And they're like, I guess the guy really liked horses. It's like, yeah, guess he liked horses, but enjoy your horse paintings.
Yeah, poor Taliban. Okay, so our next honorable mention: everybody who didn't show up for Capitol Riot 2 Electric Boogaloo this past weekend, because you missed out on some pretty dope stuff like this guy here.
Add to your heroes this name of renown, the name Ashley Babbitt, the whole world shall sound. Her name shall now rank with the gallant and brave, who fought like a hero our freedom to save.
A lot of us here are, we don't trust the Capitol Police, obviously.
And let me be clear. Where I come from, the police are great. They are absolutely great. I've been friends with many of them.
So just so everybody knows, the interviewer guy, the reporter guy, he's there making fun of them. That also is the same dude from that clip of Matt Gaetz and Marjorie Taylor Greene on the beach or whatever, when that guy dressed in American flag clothes runs up to Matt Gaetz. He's like, I fucking love you, man. Everybody thinks you're a pedophile, but I don't think you're a pedophile. I think you're cool. I know everybody else says you're a pedophile, but not me, though. You're great. That is that same guy standing there interviewing this lunatic with beef jerky. So yeah, shout out to that guy. Walter Masterson is his name.
Yeah, he did a microphone at a beef jerky, didn't he? He was interviewing the guy with. Yeah. I love that the guy he's interviewing is trying to recapture the QAnon shaman magic. He's wearing he doesn't have white hat because he's got like a raccoon skin hat as opposed to the buffalo horns. He's singing a song about Ashley Babbitt, who of course they're turning into a martyr. But beyond that, so about a couple dozen people showed up for this, rally to free the January 6th political prisoners. I think there was like 500 reporters and 30 people or something. So it was kind of funny. It was a big fight on the right because people were saying we're going, and like all the leaders of like they've gotten used to being infiltrated, like left-wing protesters have. So they're suspicious everyone's a Fed or a cop. So they were talking about this on Will Sommer and also in Soup Sang's podcast. But if you if someone suggests they think someone's a Fed on their message boards, they say they're glowing, right? They're so obvious that they're glowing. They call them glowies. So all these people are calling each other glowies on their message boards, all accusing.
Right.
None of them showed up at this rally because they all think they've been so infiltrated they're all getting arrested.
And all the people at the rally are like surreptitiously filming each other and stuff. It's like glowy spotted, got a glowy at my 10 o'clock, and the other guy's doing the same thing right back to him or whatever.
They're not wrong. The one guy who got arrested there says a cop saw him with a gun. It turned out that was a DEA agent, so they let him go.
Well,
So, but it's not clear whether that guy, the DEA agent, was there participating in the protest or infiltrating it. But either way, they let him go because he's allowed to carry a gun because he's a DEA agent. But either way, it was fucking hilarious. Yeah.
All right. Our next honorable mention, the PC police for obscuring this woman's totally valid point in the name of political correctness. Put the screen grab up there, Matt, so we could talk about it. This is a staff member at Mabel Rush Elementary School in Newburgh, Oregon, showed up to work in blackface on Friday, allegedly saying she was dressed as Rosa Parks and protesting a vaccine mandate for teachers. So, she's just out there fighting for freedom in the guise of one of our most renowned freedom fighters, Miss Rosa Parks. And, how are you going to dress up like Rosa Parks, Mark? Probably not like that. It astounds me the number of people who consider the best course of action and land on blackface, at any given time.
Here's a little tip. Never do blackface. It's never going to work out
generally
well.
speaking, good rule of thumb, just don't do blackface, But she was like, well, I'm Rosa Parks. What am I supposed to do? You can't be a white Rosa Parks.
This school district's been going through it lately. Here's a funny thing that doesn't make sense in a second, but in Newburgh Dundee School District, which involves this school, they voted to ban Black Lives Matter and pride flags in public schools, and saying it was a sign of political indoctrination. And they've, of course, been fighting over critical race theory and stuff, which is a really funny contrast because here you have the two conservative panics at the same time, right? On the one hand, we cannot talk about racism and the 1619 Project and critical race theory and all this shit in schools because it's unfair to say that America oppressed people because America never oppressed anyone. And the other hand, trying to get me to take this vaccine is just like that black lady who had to ride in the back of the bus.
Right. Yeah, which is oppressive. I'm being oppressed by this country and I don't like it. And it's funny how they love to draw the comparisons between people like Rosa Parks are also the fucking Holocaust. They love to throw that out there, but then don't want those things taught to children in school at the same time. It's like, how would you have all these wonderful examples to pull if you had not been taught about them, right? How are your children going to dress up in blackface to protest for their freedom one day if they're not taught about Rosa Parks,
Yeah.
Got to think ahead, Mark.
Yeah, how would you have known to do blackface if you hadn't learned about Rosa Parks in school, lady? But this same school district also had a scandal recently where there's a Snapchat group called the Slave Trade where all these kids were bidding what they would pay for their classmates. I don't have to tell you there were also racist jokes. So yeah, that school district's really hitting lately. They're going through it.
Oregon, by the way, just want to point out, Newburgh, Oregon, not Alabama or whatever. There's places in Alabama where that's going on too, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Oregon was founded as an all-white state, so they have their history too.
Yep. Yeah. All right. I really like this one. Our next honorable mention for Daily Dumbass is us liberals for being so good at the brain jiu-jitsu that conservatives have no choice in the face of it but to die of COVID. If you missed this from yesterday, the hot new conspiracy theory on the right was that, and you see the headline here, Howard Stern proves Democrats want unvaccinated Trump voters dead. So basically the idea is we've been gaslighting them into not taking the vaccine because we know that it works and we want them dead, so we don't want them to take it. And I guess the conceit is they're like, well, they know that whatever we say we ain't gonna do because we're patriots and they're queers and they know how that works and they're exploiting that and using it against us and that ain't fair. It's like, I don't know. It's just very funny to me.
You can't even find a through line there, but it's just it's like you guys keep making fun of us for dying when we don't get vaccinated. Therefore, that hardens our position to not get vaccinated. Therefore, you're making us not get vaccinated. And it's your fault. We're choosing not get vaccinated and then die. That's pretty much it? Yeah.
I guess, yeah. But it's like, because I read, when I first read it, I was like, we've literally begged y'all to get vaccinated. But that's what they're saying. They're like, yeah, but when y'all say for us to do a thing that we're not going to do it. And so that's why you've been saying to do it is because you knew we wouldn't do it. And you want us to not do it. That's why you say to do it, because you want us to not do it, because you want us to die.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
It can't be anyone else's fault having oppositional defiance disorder, where whatever you're asked to do, you're going to do the fucking opposite. If we tried reverse psychology, that probably what we should have done is we should have made the vaccine really exclusive, like it was a supreme drop. or like like an NFT or a baseball card that you can't have, and everybody will want it. And then we could have rolled it out more slowly and therefore gotten more uptake in the long run. But I don't know, man. Like, you shouldn't have to fucking handhold people to do something socially responsible. And I don't know what to. Like, it's like checkmate. I don't know what to do. I can't ask you to get it because then you say no. But if I stop asking you to get it, then this pandemic keeps going.
Right. And also, and I put a video out today and I talked about this and that, but like this was yesterday when this thing like came out, was making rounds. And then last night and this morning and today, they were all talking about that Project Veritas anti-vax expose thing that came out that was like, this proves that the vaccine is ineffective and dangerous. And it's like, yesterday you were saying that it works so good that we're tricking you into not taking it so you'll all die. But now all the millions and millions of people who have had the vaccine are now collectively hiding from you the fact that it doesn't work for reasons like you know, and it's just in a 24 in like an 18-hour span they went completely from one end of the spectrum to the other one on this subject. And it's just like you said, I don't know what you do with any of that, because it's just, it doesn't matter what position you take or what you say. They're gonna come with some bullshit about it. Yeah.
Motivated reasoning is a hell of a drug. And as far as the efficacy of making fun of people, I don't know. We do accomplish much here, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, it's like whoever we're talking to, we're preaching to the choir, except for the trolls that come here to say we're anti-white, which appreciate you guys. Thanks for adding to our numbers. But there was an article today in Slate, I think, talking about the Herman Cain Award, the Reddit thread, which I know you and I are familiar with. Which if you're not familiar with it, what they do is they post the Herman Cain Award is people who denied COVID seriousness and or refuse to get vaccinated, then later die of it. And they win the Herman Cain Award. And what they do is they screen grab a bunch of social media posts that people go through the evolution of denying it, then getting it, then calling them on prayer warriors to do whatever. And it's almost on to the moral calculus of whether this is like just pure like Schadenfreude or whatever it is. But the thing is, the thread is so popular that anti-vaxxers are reading it, and they've getting posts of people. It's like, you know what, this Reddit page convinced me to get, is the only thing that convinced me to get vaccinated, because I sound like these fucking morons. And thank you for getting me to get it.
Well, dude, whatever. I'll take what I can get as far as that goes. Yeah. Whatever. Yeah, if it's working, that's good. But yeah, on a related note, as always, can't hardly get out of a daily dumbass segment these days without dipping into my homeland of Tennessee. My sister was texting me about this earlier, and Katie was bringing it up to me. So Tennessee has decided that they're going to limit monoclonal antibody treatments to unvaccinated residents. So if you are vaccinated but contract COVID, you will not be able to get the monoclonal antibodies in Tennessee, because they need those for all the unvaccinated people, you know, clogging up the ICU, who are so much worse off than the vaccinated people from a purely medical standpoint. And I'm medicine dumb. I'm no doctor, but like taking all the like extenuating circumstances out of it, which you can't do, but I totally would understand why you would do that, because those people are worse off. You got to prioritize them. They need it more, but it's still fucked up that you can like take every measure to protect yourself, end up, you know, one of the statistically unfortunate ones, need this shit and not get it because of some Herman Cain Award motherfucker who refused to do anything is, you know, in line ahead of you.
Yeah, imagine if you had to go to the back of the line of the emergency room because you were wearing your bicycle helmet.
Right. Yeah, all these people who weren't wearing their helmet and fell off the cliff, they got their priority over you.
Which that is how triage works, and I get that. The more serious injuries go first, but also like it's a little infuriating because I know a mutual friend of ours. I'm not going to put his medical. I'm not going to violate his HIPAA rights when he's going to remain unnamed on the Skews, but is fully vaccinated, but had a breakthrough case. Symptoms weren't bad, but has a history of bad asthma and blood clots and whatnot, and heart problems. So he had to go get the monoclonal antibody treatment as a precaution because the doctor didn't want it to develop. So in Tennessee, he would be ineligible to get the treatment that he needed because someone else didn't take the vaccine. Maybe he'd have been fine anyway. I don't know. But the thing about preventative treatment is you do it on the front end so you don't get very, very sick.
And this is the whole thing about like, where they're like, why, you know, it's my choice, it's my body and it's my choice. Again, it's still so funny to me that that's like, that is their, my body, my choice is a rallying cry for them now. But anyway, that's their, it's like, why, it's not your right to do this shit, but it's like just screaming at them. These are the reasons, because it does affect us or can affect us. None of this shit has to be happening, but you're fucking everybody else over too by, doing, that's where your personal freedoms are supposed to end, at the point where they, infringe upon those of others, right? And it's always been that way, but all of a sudden that's a abstract concept where COVID and the vaccines are concerned.
And I don't think people think about it's like there was a guy that died last week. I think it was in Arkansas because he had a heart attack, and the 37 closest hospitals couldn't take him.
Yeah.
And someone, I think it was MSNBC or The Daily Show, or both of them used the clip. I'm not sure who dug it up, but it was people arguing about seatbelt ordinances in the 80s. And I'm old to remember that people going crazy about seatbelt requirements. And people said it was first step towards communism or fascism, pick your ism, as an infringement, overthrowing the Constitution, as a infringement on personal liberty. And I guess a lot of people are open to those arguments. But let me tell you some inside information for when I cover traffic accidents as I was a reporter. In a simple accident, you pull the car off the side of the road, traffic goes, right? If it's a death accident or an accident that could turn into a death accident, depending on how seriously the person was and taken off, the cops have to do a lot of investigation. The road gets blocked off for hours. So even if you're just talking about taking hours out of people's lives where they sit in traffic, you did affect someone else's life by not wearing your fucking seatbelt. Right. Forget your wife and kids being left alone without your support and care and love. We are a society. We are. Right. I don't know how to tell people that.
It's been pointed out before, but it's like you're talking about cars and traffic and shit. It's 100% your right as an adult American to get drunk if you want. It's also your right to drink yourself to death if you want to. You sit in your house and drink yourself to death. You could do that. It's also your right, if you have a license, to drive, but you are not allowed to get drunk and then drive, because it's dangerous to the rest of us. It's dangerous to other people. That's why you're not allowed to do it. You're allowed to do all of those things individually as an American of adult age, but you can't combine them, because that's when it starts to fuck with everybody else. And I just don't see how this is really any different, other than the heavy politics involved with it.
It's not. It's just opposition defiance disorder, bud. It's just narcissism.
Okay. Hey, producer Matt and Mark, let's skip these last two, I guess. Let's get into the Texas SB8 stuff. Mark, I want you to take it away, please. Let's talk about it.
All right. So this weekend, a Texas doctor by the name of Alan Braid, he wrote a column in the Washington Post where he admitted is the wrong word, because what he's doing isn't wrong, but he confessed to the crime of performing an abortion for a woman who was past 6 weeks. And he said he did so out of duty of care to his patient and to, quote, make sure that Texas didn't get away with its bid to prevent this blatantly unconstitutional law from being tested. So he was begging somebody to come at me, bro, right? Because we talked about before, I was skeptical this law would ever be actually used, right? Because I think we talked about a couple weeks ago, I said that basically it's going to go with somebody who's against the law is going to file a lawsuit to test it, because no one else wants to put their name on it, really. And that's kind of what happened, except much funnier. So there have been two lawsuits filed. The first, we'll start with the first one because that's the funnier one. This guy named Oscar Stilley. He's a former lawyer in Arkansas. He's not even in Texas. He was convicted of tax fraud in 2010 and is currently serving a 15-year sentence. He's on a home confinement right now because of they let people out because of COVID. He said he's not personally opposed to abortion. He thinks the measure should be subject to judicial review, obviously. So he's like, this law fucking sucks, right? But on the funny end of it, he says if the state of Texas decides it's going to give somebody $10,000, why shouldn't I get that $10,000 bounty?
Right.
So it's like, this law sucks, but if you're going to be assholes about it, give me that money. That's essentially his fucking It's America, but yeah.
Okay, so let me get this straight. This dude, and I know there's another one also, but this guy, a disgraced former lawyer who thinks this law is stupid, and the reason he's filing the suit is just to illustrate that fact, to illustrate how ridiculous, because he's a disgraced lawyer from a totally different state who has nothing to do with this guy, nothing to do with the woman, nothing to do with the doctor, nothing to do with the fucking state of Texas. But he has the ability under this law to sue him in the name of this law and possibly receive a $10,000 bounty. And his whole thing is, I'm just trying to show how fucking stupid this is and force the courts to have to work through it instead of just letting it ride. But also at the same time, if y'all are going to be giving out $10,000 bounties, yes, I would like that. And so that's basically, that's the deal with this guy. That's what he's doing. Because I love this guy.
So basically it's like, this is the only way he's going to get his name in a Supreme Court case is by doing it this way. So either he's single-handedly saves Roe v. Wade, or he gets $10,000.
Yeah,
it's a win-win, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, thank you for your service, guy who might get $10,000. I guess is the way to put it. This guy is a fascinating character. When I say is always going to get his name in a Supreme Court case, he would have loved to have got a name in a Supreme Court case. One of the things he got, he was convicted for tax fraud and conspiracy to commit tax fraud. But what he was disbarred for was he's one of these guys who sues everybody. Like our buddy Drew's character, Diamond Drew, is like, screw him, I'll sue him. You've got rights. Great character, go watch the videos. But this guy basically, every time he lost a case, he would sue everybody, including the Arkansas Supreme Court. So that's what he got. He got disbarred for being fucking annoying. He's Better Call Saul without the brain for it. All right. So one reason he feels solidarity with the women of Texas is he thinks he got railroaded, right? He got railroaded by the feds.
That doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
This former lawyer in there on tax fraud and tax evasion or whatever, he says it's bullshit. That's weird. You don't hear that much. Usually they're pretty upfront with like, yeah, I did it and I deserve to be in prison. But this guy, he's a real maverick, taking a different stance.
His blog is literally called Busting the Feds. BustingTheFeds.com, I think is it. And he says one of the reasons he wants to stand up for Texas women is like, he says, I don't like that kind of deal because really that's why I just got through doing 10 years in federal prison. It's the same deal. They don't want to give anybody a straight shot. So here's another fun thing about this guy is he man to be let out of prison. No one paid any attention to that because of COVID, like I said.
So basically, when it comes to the women, he's like, yeah, y'all are getting fucked by the government, by the feds. I got fucked by the feds. I don't like all that. I don't like when people get fucked by the feds. So I'm trying to fuck back.
I'm a good feminist ally trying to save Roe v. Wade. But if I fuck up and get that $10,000, we're all going out for Margarita Tuesdays.
Then hey, why not? Yeah.
So the second lawsuit, also filed by a disgraced disbarred attorney. This guy is in Illinois. He was suspended from the state's bar over accusations of sending harassing and threatening emails. So he's not nearly as fun of a bad character. But he didn't ask for any damages in his case. So even if he wins by losing, he doesn't get anything. He's purely doing this out of the air quote goodness of his heart, or maybe to redeem his public image after being disbarred.
I was going to ask what you thought about that part of it, like the fact that both of them are disgraced former law. Is it that like they have the wherewithal and like the legal background and stuff to sort of see how this shit could work and or like, and also are they self-aware about how like that really adds to the fact that they're both disgraced and disbarred former lawyers in completely different states, like the whole thing seems built to discredit the law is what I'm saying. And like all of it, like how aware are they of all of that? They're like, if I wasn't disgraced, I wouldn't be doing this.
I think it's like, well, they both know how to both want their name in the paper, I think is what it boils down to. But the how confusing this all is about who they're for, who they're against. I was scrolling through Stillie's blog. He has a couple posts about this, and the comments are both "we support you" and "fuck you, die in a fire" from both sides of the abortion debate.
Right, because the anti-abortion people, they just see he's suing an abortion doctor, right? Yeah. So he's like he's a virtuous, heroic figure because he's taking on the evil of abortion, is what they think, and so they're like, yeah, right on. And I guess the same thing in reverse. I mean, when I first read what was happening, I also misunderstood it. I thought it was that type of deal, that he was just trying to get that money or whatever, until I read the details of it. So yeah, I could definitely see people being pretty confused over this whole thing. But again, that's kind of the whole deal with this law in general, right, is that it's a complete clusterfuck and it's inherently confusing. That's part of why it's so stupid and terrible.
Well, this is what happens, why stuff gets so confusing with the Supreme Court and makes decisions that aren't really decisions and decides stuff based upon procedure and standing. Everyone's confused with what the law is and can't quite figure out what anybody's doing or saying. So these guys are just providing standing. They're putting in a lawsuit. So this Texas doctor has someone to appeal the case to a higher court with, which is why the Supreme Court kicked it back, because there wasn't a legit name on the other side of the lawsuit, right? So that's what's happening here. But if the Supreme Court weren't such fucking cowards and actually hear a case on the merits and stand by their, I mean, this guy could fuck up and overturn Roe v. Wade. This could be the case that undoes it. But yeah, I mean, we've got to get to an end result here. I talked about the website. So you can read his blog. thefeds.com. This guy's a weirdo. Hope he gets under house arrest so he can go to the courthouse and be yelled at by both sides and be very confused.
Yeah. I bet them some fire press conferences right there.
Yeah. Also related to this, so this breaking news today, Anonymous, the online hacker collective that's sort of a wing of Antifa. The most effective wing of Antifa, the one that actually outs Nazis, and the reason
don't they predate Antifa?
Yeah,
like Anonymous has been a thing since before. I mean, hell, when did V for Vendetta come out? You know, they wear those Guy Fawkes mask.
Yeah,
they've been around for a minute.
Yeah, I mean, since whatever. I mean, the Anonymous has and they have an interesting backstory. They used to be radical right, now they're radical left. It's very weird. But anyway, they hacked a company called Epic Fail, which is a right-wing web hosting service. They host like 8chan, Gab, and Parler, and also the Abortion Snitch webpage on website, which you're supposed to report your neighbor. People have been flooding it with bullshit tips anyway. But a fun thing is there's been so much data stolen about who's on these websites and who runs them and who participates in them and so forth that it's going to take years to go through. So we don't even know what information came out, except all of it. There's so much data. They know everything about these websites, and we're going to be parsing through it for a while. But on the law side,
way to go, Anonymous. Yeah. And anytime anybody fucks with these people, I'm a fan of it.
If you like, so Antifa, the ones you see on the news fist fighting people in Portland, those are a couple hundred people deterring Nazis from like occupying. Nazis march to look like they're powerful, right? So when they get their ass kicked by a bunch of vegans, it sort of messes up their message, right? For sure. So I'm not saying they're not doing good work. I'm not out there. I don't want to get hit in the face, and I think a lot of that shit's pretty dumb. But more power to you if you want to go fight a Nazi. I support you in theory. What Anonymous does is they hack like stuff like this and say subscription lists for white power magazines, and they the result of which is they get a lot of like Nazi teachers and cops fired. So that's why the main reason the far right hates Antifa is not the people you see on the news. It's because of Anonymous.
I just picture like a Klansman going door to door with one of those like magazine subscription, sign up things. How they do that, like little fundraiser things or whatever. They're out there signing you up for White Power Weekly and fucking, Nazi Face Quarterly or whatever, however it works.
One thing that's been lost in the weeds with this is like, I didn't quite understand this, but this deputizing people to bounty hunt their neighbors thing, Texas wasn't necessarily the first, and like multiple states are trying a bunch of versions of this. For example, Tennessee students and teachers can now sue schools if they, quote, encounter a member of the opposite biological sex in a multi-occupancy restroom.
Okay. What? So they have to have multi-occupancy restrooms in public schools or whatever. But in Tennessee, if you're a guy and you're in one and a girl walks in or vice versa, you could sue the school for that.
If you're typical school bathroom, like there's a row like 5 urinals or whatever, if there is a trans man peeing in a stall with you, you can sue the school for that.
Oh, so if they just exist in your presence, you mean?
Yes.
Well, in the bathroom. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in Florida, any student who claims to have been deprived of an athletic opportunity because a transgender athlete took their place is now bestowed with a private cause of action against the school. So
Dude, this is not my joke that I'm taking this from, but
Yeah.
God damn it, the kid who lost his spot on the team to Air Bud, you didn't see him suing the fucking school, okay? When a golden retriever took his spot on the
Yeah.
basketball team, he just had to take it. All right, sure, his dad was disappointed, but people weren't suing each other over a dog playing basketball. This shit's just getting ridiculous. Maybe that might be a tenuous analogy to draw because I'm not trying to make any kind of point about people being
not-
dogs. You know
no.
what I mean? I'm just saying, fucking just take it. You don't make the team, fucking deal with it. You know what I mean?
I played one season of JV basketball. I didn't make varsity, right? And let's say the person who beat me out for varsity, let's take it out of, because I don't want to make a bad analogy, but say like, I don't know, I can't even come up with an analogy. It's not dehumanized. It's just like you pretend you play high school football in Florida, and you lose your spot to a trans kid, and now you're going to feel bad about that because you wanted to make the team, and now your name's in the newspapers. Your parents are suing the school. It's like, what do you just embarrassed?
Right.
Like, it's just like
that you're already embarrassed just from not making that. You're a high school kid. You went out for a team. You didn't make it. And then, it becomes a news story. It's put in the papers, all this shit. It's politicized. I mean, that's got to be a fucking nightmare. Like, who actually wants that to happen other than shit-ass parents, who want to capitalize on something? But it's just, this is the type of thing that, like, it feels to me like no one really wants or certainly needs, that state legislatures spend so much of that's like exclusively what they do, I feel like, is come up with shit like that nobody asked for, that nobody really wants, but that has this like political bent to it that they can, point to and be like, see, we're, on the front lines of the culture war or whatever, but really this is some meaningless bullshit that we're pushing through right now.
I think the hypothetical scenario they're imagining is a trans woman, a woman that
definitely
was born a man,
born a guy who's on the girls' basketball team now and is just out there just dunking all over everybody and shit like that.
It's that Rodney Dangerfield movie, Ladybugs. That's what they're imagining.
Yeah.
With John, what's his name?
Joanna Man. Wasn't that what Joanna Man was about? Yeah.
Yeah. Which isn't reality. But anyway, it's like
90s movies, dog.
Yeah. This wasn't even like, I mean, I doubt this situation isn't going to come up. It's just the idea is to make schools afraid to let trans kids play sports.
Right.
That's what's going to happen. Along the same lines, Missouri just passed the Second Amendment Preservation Act, which grants $50,000 in damages to any party whose rights to bear arms is deprived. Which I don't even know what that means. If a business says, if I own a restaurant, I say, you can't come in if you open carrying a gun. You can sue me for $50,000. Like I property rights in my own restaurant. This is like the conservatism is communism now. Like they spent a whole civil rights movement arguing that private property rights meant they didn't have to let people eat there. They didn't want to eat there. And now there's no right for any private control of your property. You have to let conservatives do crazy shit in there. And now here's the best one. Kentucky citizens can now file a complaint with the Attorney General if a teacher in the school district teaches critical race theory, and if successful, they will withdraw funding from the school. So you can get first of all, schools aren't teaching critical race theory, but I guess they're talking about any sort of racism adjacent stuff. Your whole school could get defunded by the state if a parent complains about some shit you're being taught. It's fucking dumb, man. It's real dumb.
The people, you just know that the people who are so fired up about critical race theory being taught in school or whatever are the exact same type of people that don't know shit about what their kids are learning in school and couldn't give a fuck less about school in general, except for, them not allowing prayer in the school or teaching fucking evolution or climate change or whatever and shit like that. But it's just like all the other regular school shit that goes on with kids' education, they don't know anything about or give a fuck about any of that other than the sort of outrage factories that are these hot button subjects that they get so attached to. But they don't give a fuck about school.
No, I mean, it's also like some of this stuff is like extremely tenuous for what I remember. The main thing I remember from 6th grade history class is me and my buddy John would sit in the back and we'd take pens apart and we'd cram all the springs we could into a pen, and we would wad up paper and feed like spitball shooters with springs.
Classic. That's classic 6th grade right there.
Middle
school. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, we're about to get into the questions and comments, but I do want to show this video just to give this guy a shout out real quick. So yeah, we're just giving it up to this dude here who went to a George Bush event out here, right in Hollywood.
Yeah,
is where it was.
It was
a George W. Bush event in Hollywood. This guy.
The other one's dead, so it'd be hard for him to give him a speech.
Yeah,
but
George
but it was some sort of big fundraiser. I'm assuming it's one of these Bush does quiet paid appearances. He doesn't do very public ones anymore. But he probably got $500,000 for the speech to a bunch of wealthy people. And this guy fucking crashed it and did this.
No pressure, Matt. Everybody's watching.
Yeah,
okay.
You can bail out, yeah. Sometimes we have, depending on the format of the video, Matt can't download them since we have problems playing them in the browser. But yeah, the guy, he stood up and said, "Fuck you! You sent me to Iraq on a lie. When are you going to apologize to a million dead Iraqis?" And they got booed by these wealthy Beverly Hills douchebags.
Well, what I noticed about that is like he stands up and he's like, "You need to apologize. You lied about Iraq. You lied about weapons of mass destruction." And they all start booing. Yeah, these Beverly Hills douchebags start booing and jeering or whatever. And then he screams, he goes, "You sent me to Iraq in 2003. And they kind of shut the fuck up there for a second. They still like drug him out of there, but they were like, "Oh shit." And yeah, he says, "You need to apologize. My friends are dead because of you. A million Iraqi." Yeah, he just really, really goes off and they drag him out of the room screaming because, he wasn't having that shit. And I'll tell you what, Mark, in what was presumably a room full of Republicans, since it's a George W. Bush event, I didn't see not one single person support that troop. Here's a troop right in front of you, right in before your very eyes, looking for some support, and nobody would support that troop. I think
exercise his First Amendment rights according to the Constitution of the United States. Don't hit for them.
Not into it. Okay, so I'm going to start looking through the comments and stuff over here real quick. We want to let you know about a couple things. As a reminder, we got them shirts, them Skews shirts. Producer Matt got done up for us. Go to weeklyskews.com and holler at those. Also, just another reminder from me, if you want to go to patreon.com/Trey Crowder and get some extra Trey action, support me on this here internet tip. That would be cool. I do a bunch of stuff, including reviewing politicians. This week is Louis Gohmert, and that's going to be a fun time. That old boy is something else. So yeah, and Mark, you had something, right?
Yeah, but before I do that though, when you did Gohmert, did you talk about how like his front tooth will fall out while he's talking? And he just picks it up with his tongue and puts it back in. I
haven't done it yet, so thank you very much. I will make sure to include that.
Yeah,
I've just been
it's great.
Putting the stuff together.
All right, so this weekend is Relay for Life, American Cancer Society. My wife's the team captain, and I support her by walking every year. Last year, they couldn't do an actual event because of COVID, so we did a relay all around the valley. I walked 27 miles, and my big toenails fell off. Won't be doing that again. So
Jesus.
Less than 27 miles. So, but I tweeted out the link a couple days ago, my birthday. If you want to support, or you don't have to donate to me, my page. I don't give a shit about getting the credit for it. My wife is very competitive. She wants to run up the score. She likes to win every year. Anything that gets more coming in for cancer, I'm into. But I'll send them the link to Matt to tweet off on the Weekly Skews account, or it's on my personal Facebook page and my Twitter page from from last Wednesday. Right
on.
Fuck cancer.
Real quick, fuck cancer. Absolutely. Yeah, I took multiple family members of mine, including my dad. So, yes, fuck cancer. One thing I always think of when I hear about the Relay for Life, though, that I didn't think twice about at the time, but Relay for Life when I was in high school, my senior year of high school, I think, one of the headline events was a drag show with all of the high school boys, me and all my buddies, football team and all this stuff, dressed up in drag for the Relay for Life, and they threw money at us and fucking put money in our bra straps and stuff. Kobe won because he was just being totally slutting it up out there. You could see his balls almost. But anyway, I never occurred to me at the time at all. But looking back on it, I feel like that's kind of wild for 2003 in Salina, Tennessee. But apparently, from talking to people, that was relatively common. But that's a weird thing if you know how people are about homosexuality and drag and all that stuff in towns like my hometown, but then this is a headline event here.
I think it's fairly common during like high school football games in small towns. Like when we do the powder puff game where the cheerleaders play, the players will dress up like the cheerleaders, right? I think we did that. I know they did it on Friday Night Lights. I will say that when I was in 4th grade, me and a couple buddies, my buddies Bobby, JR, and Seth, we dressed up like women and lip synced "Dude Looks Like a Lady" for a talent show. And
4th grade,
fifth grade, I think. Yeah,
hell yeah,
one of those. But it's weird, like nowadays, how political that would be seen. It'd be like it would be. Maybe it was bad to do. Maybe it's problematic for a different reason. But now you get trans panic about it, and
for sure. Yeah, your parents will get scrutinized and shit because it's like, who gave him the idea to do this stuff or whatever. But it's just like, that song just slapped. You know, I fucking loved that song when I was a kid. Had Aerosmith's greatest hits. That was one of the bangingest bangers on there. You know, and if you're singing "Dude Looks Like a Lady," you need to dress up like a fucking lady. Come on, showmanship, commitment. You know, I
played saxophone in elementary school, middle school, and high school band, and I pretended to I air synced my alto saxophone, even though I'm pretty sure there isn't even a saxophone really in the song. We didn't win.
Can you do fucking Baker Street or like George Michael or any of that shit?
I still have. Last few times I tried to play it, I still remember to read music and still remember the fingerings and stuff. But my aperture's real bad. It sounds like shit, so I can't really practice in an apartment building sounding like shit. So I'll just always sound like shit.
I desperately want to watch you just wail on a saxophone. All right, let's see what y'all got going on over here. Sorry, song dig slap. They say. There was a. Let's see here. I clicked it. God damn it, here we go. Craigist from YouTube says there was a lot of pretend gay or cross-dressing stuff when I was in high school in the early 90s. So yeah, I mean, I've since found out that it's like very common. I just still think that that's kind of a wild thing that it was so common in like rural America, you know, for so long.
I just remembered at church camp one year, we did a beauty pageant where all the dudes dressed up like beauty queens. This is a Southern Baptist church camp.
Yeah. Who was fancy? Somebody had to be fancy, right?
Yeah. Fancy was her name. Yeah.
All right, here we go. Yeah, that's one of the best songs in the history of music, by the way. Or one of the best, first of all, songs, but also lyrics is what I meant to say. One of the best lines. May have been born just plain white trash, but fancy was my name. Actually, if any of y'all fuck with the Bubba Shot the Podcast spinoff show that me, Corey, and Drew do, Fancy is this week's song that we cover.
That song always gives me chills when she says that line, man. It's
hell
cool
yeah,
dude.
Shit.
Yeah. Trey, did you see today that the Space Force uniforms dropped? They dropped.
Yes.
They're still doing that.
Yeah, that was the very first thing I thought when I saw that the Space Force uniforms dropped. I was like, they're still doing that? I had just assumed that they would stop doing that, but whatever.
Dude.
Hell, why not?
the Nazi rocket experts that the NASA brought over here to work on the space program under Operation Paperclip, the fucking Nazis, the guys that built the V2 rockets, were like, we're against militarizing space. We're not going to participate in this if you guys are going to militarize it. And now we're just like, we're militarizing space. It's fucking, yeah.
Yeah, Werner von Braun or whatever. I know it's a huge thing with him because I'm watching For All Mankind. Tracy Lopez Hasuga says, practice safe sax, Mark.
Yeah, thanks, Tracy. For All Mankind, I love that show, by the way. It's
I've only just started it, but I do like it. No idea what this guy's on about, which is why I put it up there. Henry Chinaski says Milton Berle had one of the largest penises in Hollywood. Forrest Tucker was up there too. I read it in a Jackie Gleason bio. He tried to set up a match between the two to see who was larger. All right.
I've heard that story about Milton Berle.
Yeah, I have too. That's like a famous, Milton Berle. Yeah, he used to pull that wiener out all the time and put everybody else to shame, I guess. There's some story about him like pulling it out and like they were going to measure it by a door frame or something. And the other guy like went to the other side of the door frame. Then Milton Berle pulled his out and like slapped the other side of the door or something like that with it or whatever. Just, I don't know. Old Hollywood, just dick stories. Y'all know how it is. Hang on. Yep.
You're too precious with the comment picks, right? You gotta pick.
I'm trying. Donna Spencer says, just be nice to the gentleman, Fancy. They'll be nice to you. I used to do a bit on stage about my college girlfriend, how I thought she was rich because I was such poor white trash, and her dad like owned a body shop in Nashville, you know. So I was like, oh shit, they're loaded. And compare myself to Fancy throughout the whole thing. That's because that's just how much I relate to it. Let's see here.
You never had to resort to prostitution, though, did you? Did your parents didn't turn you out like Fancy? It's not.
No, but
yeah.
what is comedy really, Mark? Other than
yeah,
parading yourself around on stage, just
yeah.
That I'm kidding. It's not the same thing as prostitution. Not trying to do anything where any of that's concerned right now. It's just saying a thing. Let's see here. A lot of people are confirming that they had the cross-dressing thing too. Kyle Steven says, though SpaceX, I'm assuming you mean Space Force. Those Space Force uniforms fucking slap, though.
I'm going to disagree. Matt, can you pull them up? There's a link to it in the doc.
If you can, it would be cool. Yeah, they just look kind of like military uniforms to me, Like I would like them to look a little more. They don't look bad or nothing. They don't look stupid, I don't think.
Well, first of all, they rolled them out a little too early because the pants and the pants didn't fit the people wearing today. And maybe this because this is good, but they said they designed the uniforms for women's comfort first, and then adjusted to the men, which is the opposite way the military has historically done uniforms. So that's cool. But they look like Battlestar Galactica, and also the pants are too big for the people wearing them. So it was just like they also rolled out. They're testing their training wear. I pronounced that.
Yeah, but I have no clue what that. So EarthCat on YouTube said you were talking about your aperture when we were talking about the sacks earlier. I don't know what that is. I know what the word aperture generally means, but I had no clue what you're talking about. I just smiled and nodded. But EarthCat says, "LOL, it's embouchure, whatever the hell. It's a big ass looking word, not aperture, Mark."
Look, I went to Appomattox County High School. My graduating class was 140 kids, and I learned saxophone from the driver's ed teacher. So that's what I'm working with here. I'll take your word for it. Thank you for the it'll never come up in my life again, I don't think.
Sweet Yung Thang on YouTube says, you do remember that dressing up in drag and blackface was intended to be as overtly funny as it was quietly hateful. You're probably making a pretty good point with that. I feel like it probably was a sort of like point and laugh type of situation, I guess, or it's like, I don't know, cheapening the whole thing or something like that. But I can tell you that having done it with me and my buddies as fucking 17-year-old dipshits, none of that like factored into it for us. We were having a good time in our dresses
I totally agree with
stuff
you.
Out there.
Perhaps I'm not familiar with the history. I know that like, of course, men would dress up like women for Shakespeare back in the, when they did that back in the day. I understand it's problematic, maybe in a sense you're deflating a man's masculinity, but it's the idea that you're making fun of women. Maybe it is. I don't know. I don't know.
I had never thought about that way either, but I read this comment and I just feel like it's like a making fun of gay people thing or something like,
Yeah.
Isn't it silly and crazy, ridiculous this fucking that anyone would ever do this? You know what I mean? Like, look at that. Isn't that how silly and dumb is that whole thing? Can you believe anybody would ever do that? Look at these, I don't know. That's just how I interpreted it when I read this. Now, blackface, hey, we're also we're anti-Taliban. We're also anti-blackface.
We established at the top of the show.
We've always said it. We are not pro-blackface at all. I don't care what anybody says. I'm not into it. I'm not into blackface. Sorry.
I will from this moment on commit the rest of my life to never dress up in drag and sing "Dude Looks Like a Lady" ever again. And fifth figure me or whatever is going to atone for it. I don't know. You're probably right. I'm not making fun of you. I'm probably dumb on this. I just didn't know that. So, right.
Yeah, no, I didn't know that either. But that's interesting. Matt said Matt, if you have them, throw them up there so everybody can see them since we've been talking about them. Hell. So yeah, there you go. So yeah, I mean, you're right about the pants. They are clearly too big for these people, which is a weird oversight. I feel like. I mean, was anybody waiting, with bated breath on the Space Force uniforms to drop? Like, if the pants are fucked up, just wait, get different pants or something. Other than that, though, I think they look fine. I would not say they slap, but I think they look fine.
Yeah. What do you think they do day to day at Space Force headquarters?
Dude. Who the hell knows? My go-to joke is always, combat the threat of moon Muslims, but I have no idea.
Moon Muslims,
but I have no idea what the hell they actually do all day.
Say one thing before we go is Space Force also announced that they're testing their training wear, which is just shorts and a t-shirt. But they're obviously very thoroughly testing, and they put out, apparently one of their lieutenants is a former college star athlete, and they made a video talking about how she's putting it through the toughest testing, so they'll know if the Space Force shirts and T-shirt work. Made me laugh.
Okay. Well, right on. Yes, thank you for putting that up there. Reminder, go to wellreadcomedy.com if you are vaccinated and want to see me live. Okay, that's it for this week's edition of Weekly Skews. We will be back next Tuesday. I'm Trey, and that's Mark. Producer Matt's back